6 months ago, the Australian film industry had nothing but clear skies ahead, with a flattened curve bringing major productions down under. But this optimism was short-lived, with a new Delta variant outbreak early this year driving these productions away. I spoke to some of the Australian young crew members, and here's what they had to say.
It was just as lockdown was hitting. Like, I remember I was doing a feature film at the time, and we were just up to the last week, and it started to break out in the Georges River Council. So our first assistant director had to pull out of the production. She couldn't do it, and then just more and more people. Some of the LGAs were locking down. We had a lot of people working from Western Sydney, so it began to shut down. Not only did they say, it's delayed, we don't know when it's going to happen, it packed up and left. They said that they're not going to shoot in Sydney anymore. I think Marvel was saying that they were going to shoot, as they'd shot Shang-Chi and Thor here, and then they were going to do Black Panther 2, and they were going to do a Black Panther spin-off series. They had a lot planned to do here because at the time it seemed like Australia was the only place in the world that was somehow safeguarded from COVID. So it seemed like this little paradisial spot in the world.
Many would consider the heyday of Australia's film industry to be the 1970s and early 80s, after Gough Whitlam's government launched the Australian Film Commission to fund and produce Australian films with international appeal. The Australian government now offers significant tax offsets to entice large-scale film productions. But some say that this system is not bearing fruit in the right places.
So these rebates, when these larger projects come over, they create excellent crew members in Australia, and they create excellent crew members for Australia, but then the industry can't really hold them, so they all go overseas. What those rebates that are coming from those blockbusters are doing are basically creating Australians for Hollywood projects overseas because we don't have the industry nor the infrastructure to hold them. I don't think it's all doom and gloom, I think there is room for sort of young people entering the industry. While there may not be as much work from a sort of, larger creative perspective or a larger sort of prestige production level like your Gallipolis, those older privately funded films, I think there's a significant amount of agency work, a lot of ad work, a lot of broader options in regards to social media ads, TV, or there's so many different formats now.
I recently did a job, we drove past Coffs Harbour near Woolgoolga, and I remember the recordist that I work with was saying that Russell Crowe's studio and he just pointed like he's building it over there, like they're building that way, and that's going to rival a lot of the things they have in America. It could potentially rival Fox Studios here in Sydney, which would be really exciting. They're also, I think in Western Sydney, beginning to do a visual effects house, which is also going to be huge. It could be like Industrial Light and Magic, which is the place that did wraparound screen for The Mandalorian. They're planning to build something like that here in Sydney. So I think it's only going to continue to get bigger and bigger. I actually think it's a good time to be in Australia to do film. There's always a continuing new way that it's changing, but I think it's a huge shift now that a lot of people can get into film unlike before. So I think it's a net positive overall.